This is my brief introduction to low-hanging fruit videos. That's what I'm calling them. Call them low-hanging fruit videos. All of my CSCS topics, I call them low-hanging fruit videos because my philosophy for this test, just to boost my grade even a few points, snag that low-hanging fruit. What's the low-hanging fruit? Those are the things that you should do, your best practices for studying and test taking, two different things, to boost your score, even just a little bit. You just clean up the mess a little, and you find that anything gets better if you just fix the basic things. So the basic things, the low-hanging fruit, are for the test taking to read the question, and for studying to know the fundamentals. Let me elaborate. Read the question. Of course you want to read the question, but sometimes our brains have these knee-jerk reactions because we think we're reading one question, but it's another. Sometimes the question on the CSCS, it reminds me of these physiology, these cross-listed / graduate level classes in physiology where they don't just ask you something, what's the name of this thing? It's this is happening and this is happening. What is the relationship between the two, or something like that? Or they'll say, what is not a product of this process? That kind of question where they ask. So you have to look for the qualifiers, and you have to look for the time frame they're talking about. In the CSCS, they talk about things before, during, or after training, or at a different stage in the seasons. You have like off season, preseason, in season, and postseason. So when they're talking about training variables inside of a program, they're going to be specific about what part of the season they're in, which if you're reading the question incorrectly. So there are 3 questions you should have in your mind to answer the test question. What I like to ask myself are these 3 questions, which are, what is the question asking me? What does it want to know? Do I understand the question? And that seems kind of obvious, right? Well, you're answering the question. It's asking me something, and there it is on the paper. But did you really understand it, or do you have the groove in your brain? You see certain words, and it just sends you to the end of the question or right to the answers. So make sure you've read the question, read it back to yourself, paraphrase it, dissect it, look for the qualifiers, use your analytical tools, all your other tips and tricks to understand the questions. And then when you get to the answers, you read all of the answers, and then when you choose an answer, why is that the right one? And why are these not the right ones? If you can answer those questions about your situation, then you have a thorough understanding of it. Meaning, if you know why, if you can explain why in detail, this is why you've chosen what you did, then you're not just guessing, and you know the material. How do you do that? How do you know your material? Well, number 2, when you study, just get the fundamentals first. You got to have a good survey of all the things that are going on. So I've read the textbook. So through each chapter, I know the fundamentals of what I'm looking at. And now I'm trying to fill in all the gaps by putting up videos of the things that I know that I've missed based on all of my sample tests. The sample tests I've gotten are all probably a lot easier than the actual CSCS certification exam. So I should get 100 on all those. And everything I've gotten wrong, I should be able to go back and fix just by fundamentals. Because all these questions were easy questions. They weren't difficult questions, but they just really they poked the holes right in where they found the holes in my knowledge. So what does that mean I have to do? I have to go back and make sure I understand my fundamentals. All of these things all go back to fundamentals. There's nothing complex about these. This is not the actual exam. And I've seen the actual exam. Well, I can't say because I haven't taken the actual exam yet. I've seen what hard questions look like for the CSCS, and I've seen what these sample exam question looks like. And right now, all this is pointing at, if I just know my fundamentals, I'll blow right through all the easy questions. So there you go. Low-hanging fruit. Know your fundamentals, and make sure you read the test questions and the answers, and you thoroughly understand it.